Alright, so we're not doing a video this week. This is our bye week. It's like, I'm just kidding. We're actually going to do our video tomorrow and Wednesday, later Wednesday afternoon, because tomorrow at 11 a.m. for my American government class, I have a political science test. This is a Draft Utopia PS PSA Announcement. And by PS, we mean Political Science PSA Announcement. So, for the next whatever minutes, I'm just going to go over all my index cards in this YouTube video to help me prepare for the test, because they didn't make a rule in the guideline that said I couldn't, because I'm doing this for fun, for my website. They never said I couldn't do this, and studying is preparation. So the 17th Amendment involves electing senators, much like SGA does with Slippery Rock. 22nd Amendment, 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 times 2 is 8. That's 8 years. That's a whole term. That's the maximum amount of terms you can have. And using mathematics to apply yourself in this attire to remember the 22nd Amendment is a very effective strategy. True or false, George W. Bush is in charge of foreign policy? That's false. Obama's currently in charge of foreign policy because he's the President of the United States. That's how it is, man. Administrative discretion. Well, let's look over this, because you really need to study harder. Exercise in professional expertise and judgment as opposed to strict regulations, statutes, and making a decision. Well, Dr. Frederick's professional expertise said I need to study harder to take down this YouTube video. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep going through the damn index cards. Amicus curia briefs. Someone who's not on a party to a case that offers information. Appellate jurisdiction, the power to review or revise a Supreme Court decision. Riding the Supreme Court. Supreme Court over revision. Okay. Bureaucracy is kind of like capitalism, but non-elective government officials. It's a shark pool. It's a cesspool of sharks that are non-government officials. Bureaucracy. Bicameral legislative. 2 chambers of upper and lower house. Upper and lower class. Class house. Prepare in this laundry house for your class by remembering that there are upper and lower houses. That's bicameral legislative. Casework. Using capitalism to deal with bureaucracy. And that's what solving your constituents' problems with bureaucracy is. It's using capitalism to solve your problems. That's financial casework. That's legal attire. That's different thing, but very similar terminology. 25th Amendment, vice presidenting, also known as Quarter Amendment, the Quarter Amendment, Quartifications, Quartifying, and it allows the current president to approve a vice president through procedures protocol. Civilian employees of bureaucracy. 11% of employees are employed. Let's go this again. Civilian employment bureaucracy. 11% of employees currently employed. Cloture vote, bill with time limit. Only procedure in which to place a time limit on a bill the Senate can vote. Presidential appointments. Presidential appointment with Senate confirmation. And the United States Senate are like the secretaries. You have to get through them to make the appointment, to schedule the appointment, to get the White House logistics down. So, presidential appointments, White House logistics, United States Senate. United States Senate. American senators, not the Ottawa senators. Senators in Washington, D.C., not the Capitals. No more NHL terms. So, presidential appointments are appointments made by United States senators. Term, 4 or 4 times 2. That's a term. There's 2 different terms. You can get 4 or 4 times 2, depending on how the constituents feel about your product, about how you're making an impact on the United States of America. Committees in Congress. Committees controlled by the majority. Concurring opinions. Agree with decision of the majority, but not the reasoning. I feel like that's how a lot of people feel at Slippery Rock SGA or C-SPAN or whatever. They're just going with the status quo to remain in the club. I think that's a really terrible attitude. But that's suck-ups for you. That's politics, the game of suck-ups. Congress Subcommittee, appointed by the House of Representatives and the Senate to resolve a different bill. Congressional whips. Not a trigger word, folks. Congressional whips is not a trigger word to get your history teachers in the mood. Nope. Congressional whips is actually enforcing party discipline. And you gotta enforce party discipline by reviewing congressional whips again. Whipping your own ass into reviewing the importance of congressional whips by enforcing discipline on memorizing congressional whips. Congressional whips is enforcing party discipline. And I'm going way too fast here, but I want to make sure I got this down. So, courts inferior to the Supreme. Courts inferior to the Supreme is courts ranked below the Supreme 6 justices instead of 9. There are 6 instead of 9. Take this 9, turn it upside down. That's magic. Wow. Q voting. It allows you to determine a vote based on certain political issues. So, yes, when I voted in 2008, I voted for Obama because I thought McCain was a feeble old man. And then in 2012, I joined the community, the PUA community, before I realized that you got to put the PUA and the LGBT community aside to bring both together. And when I was only part of the PUA community, I voted for Mitt Romney because I thought the world would get better regardless of who got elected. I treated the 2012 election like the game of sorry and said, sorry, Obama, you only get 1 term. Because I just thought it'd be natural and socially acceptable at the time. Romney did give a Reagan vibe at the time, and I just thought, what the hell? And that's why liberals are disappointed with my lack of feminism. Dead listed. Dead listed is cases that did not make the discuss list. So, yes, dead listed TV shows are TV shows that did not get on the air. So we're using real-world application to help us remember this. And I'm going to have to write all this down on a separate piece of paper to help me remember the test, because I've got no classes tomorrow on Tuesday, so it's like, you know what the hell? Discretionary docket. Supreme Court just chooses what cases they will hear. Basically, it's the Supreme Court's way of pre-selecting what cases are going to get played out. Pre-selection is a concept I was taught by my mentor, Josh, and it's just, Supreme Court uses pre-selection to dictate what cases they are going to use with discretionary docket. That's all it is. Pre-selection by the Supreme Court. Discuss list. The discuss list is Chief Justice begins discuss list. So any justice can add a case to the discuss list. It doesn't have to be the chief. It doesn't have to be the Kansas City Chief, Andy Reid, who's currently 9-0. It can be any chief. It can be Chief Falconhead, for crying out loud, as long as he's the Chief Justice. He doesn't have to be the Chief Justice. He just has to be one of the 9 justices on the Supreme Court. I was testing you guys, and you know what? The discuss list is any justice. Any justice. Conversing. Divided government is a government that is controlled by one party. Because it's one party, one part. Unified government is 2 parties. 2 parties coming together, united as one. What are the 2 jobs Congress has? Well, they're the dual roles of Congress, and I'm going to dual by talking about making laws and representing constituents. So only represent constituents if you believe you can win the case for them, if you believe you have your best interest. Doing legal cases is a lot like gambling, and unless you know you're going to win the case, you don't always want to take it unless you're getting paid handsomely, in which case you take it and you probably lose, but it's like, whatever, man, it's all good. Earmarks. Bringing home the bacon. Geico needs to bring home the bacon with their commercials because I'm tired of that pig. That pig sucks. Executive agreements are agreements made between other countries and don't require Senate approval. They just require approval from other countries. So that's executive agreements. International treaties, international agreements are executive agreements. They are international agreements. Filibuster is talking a bill to death. I'm filibustering this YouTube video with my American government note cards. and it's probably really upsetting the whole perception of our SGA. I'm filibustering about SGA when I should be filibustering about American government, and I've done this for like 10 minutes because it's like, this is going to help me remember the test. I can just keep watching this video as long as I don't send it to other students, because if I send it to other students, that's cheating. That's technically cheating. But if I don't send it to other students and I keep all of it myself, I can be a test hog. And it's okay to be a test hog because Slippery Rock never mandated a rule that says you can't be a test hog by making YouTube videos before the tests. Presidential qualifications. 35 years old, 14 years in the United States, 2 touchdowns, and you must be born in America. No, Stephen Colbert, I don't want to hear your jokes about Obama. I'm too busy making this video. That's why I'm not watching the Colbert Report on Comedy Central at 1:44 a.m. House qualifications. What are the House qualifications? 25 years old, 7 years as a U.S. resident. So, 3 years I could bolt on Slippery Rock and become a member of a House if I wanted to. Because I'm 22 years old right now and I'm still a freshman. I technically could run for House in 3 years. Or I could run as a senior on Slippery Rock if I keep applying myself. Because I'm technically eligible. I won't win, but I can technically run. Senate qualifications. 30 years old, 9 years as a U.S. resident. So yeah, Slippery Rock House campaign 3 years from now, even though I'll probably fail epically. And, oh yeah, 2016 is, in fact, the next election. So yes, the next U.S. presidential election takes place in 2016, when I turn 25, which means I can run for House. Awesome. I get to run for House at Slippery Rock. Gerrymandering. And if I get on the House, it means I'm in charge of our country's money. Not a scary thought at all. Very good thoughts about me being on the House. Being in charge of our country's money. Philip, bringing on the bacon. Gerrymandering is controlling congressional districts to benefit a disadvantage of a group. Removal of a presidency is, this person is tried on impeachment charges for being impeached. Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, 2/3 of the Senate vote. Name the 2 presidents that were impeached. Andrew Jackson, and I did not have sexual relations with that woman. William Jefferson Clinton. Thank you. Incumbency and Republicans' major party. They are important for members of Congress to get re-election. So, incumbency is the importance for members of Congress to get re-election. Right now, the Republicans are the majority party, which is why I think Chris Christie and Mayor McCheese should run as president, vice president, because if the Republicans nominate those 2, they're going to win. Because a cheeseburger as a vice president of the United States would be epic. Too epic for Hillary Clinton to munch on. Influences on Supreme Court justices' decisions. Judicial philosophy, public opinion is the very last thing. Informal power, does it matter? Of course it matters, because informal power is how the U.S. president goes about doing things, and it dictates his ability to get stuff done. What does this say? It matters because success is measured by their ability to get programs passed. So yes, if the ACS Affordable Care System ends up, ACA Affordable Health Care Act, or whatever it's called, helps this country, then Obama's going to get a lot of credit. Because Obama's informal power will change the country for the better. But a lot of Republicans are like, nope, this is negative informal power. Very bad, very negative correlations, negative rapport, negative informal power. And they're just rattling about this stuff like bureaucrats. It's hilarious, man. That's just politics. So judicial philosophy is the liberal, conservative, moderate. So you want to be over here, you're a liberal. Okay, so look. Okay, never mind. I'll use my right hand to point this out. So being on the left over here, this is my right hand. It's hard to tell because like the video, but yeah, this would be considered left wing because I'm right and left hand. This is the right wing, but because you see the video a certain way, you can't tell whether I'm on the left wing or the right wing. See, when you're watching this video, it's like this is the right wing, this is the left wing, but I'm using my right hand to dictate the left wing and my left hand to dictate the right wing. Obama's using his left hand to dictate the right wing in the White House right now. But it's all good because politics is just a game. A game where your approval rating goes up or down depending on your informal power. That's why informal power matters. Judicial philosophy is liberal, conservative, and then there's the middle ground, the moderate. The moderate, as in order to stand out from your peers, you have to vote for Ron Paul when you're a senior in high school, when you just turned 18 during the 2008 election, and be the only student in your law and justice class to vote for Ron Paul. That's how you stand out among your peers using judicial philosophy. So there's liberal, conservative, and moderate. One Ron Paul voter coming out of high school back in 2008 before Ron Paul tanked in 2012. So what is the judicial review? The judicial review is power taken by the Supreme Court. So whatever the hell the Supreme Court plans on doing in terms of action, before they make said action, is judicial review. Somebody told me that action trumps inaction. Not necessarily. At the Supreme Court, inaction trumps action because inaction is the pre-action leading up to the action. And the pre-action at the Supreme Court is indeed the judicial review. So that's the pre-action before the action. How about that for a reaction? Judiciary Act of 1789. First act ever passed by Congress. Jurisdiction, right to hear a case. So there's two types. There's appellate or original jurisdiction. Appellate. So original jurisdiction is the right to hear a case first. Because first come, first serve, that's why it's original. And appellate jurisdiction is the power to review or revise. It's a lower court decision. So modifying jurisdiction is what we should call this. It's way too confusing. Appellate. So modifying jurisdiction is what this should be referred to as. There's a lot of complex terminology when it comes to government, and that's why I don't play politics. I thought about running for student council president in 6th grade, but I lost because I didn't vote for myself. I made a trade with my classmate that I'd vote for them if they'd vote for me, and if I backdoored them, it would have been a three-way tie between Chad, Sarah, and myself, and I would have technically been a co-student council class president. A three-way co-student council class president. That's why I'm too diplomatic for politics. Nice guys don't get anywhere in politics. Legislative process. Once a member introduces a bill into Congress, you have to introduce the bill into Congress by pitching a bill that's good enough to sell. That's how politics works. Log rolling. Log rolling is vote training. It's not logs rolling on an arcade screen when you play Frogger. That's playing Frogger. That's being George Costanza playing Frogger, stealing a Frogger machine and frogging the arcade store. And then you get frogged when your high score goes down. Classic Seinfeld. But seriously, log rolling is vote training. Vote training. That's log rolling. Log rolling is vote training. Majority leader is the Republican Party right now, and they are in charge of the majority party. And yeah, majority leader is who has the most power in the Senate. And we talked about the Republicans earlier. All this talk about the Republicans, it's making me think of money. So the majority opinion is 5 or more than 9 justices. The co-currence opinion is sometimes you have justices who agree with the ultimate decision made by the government, and they're too lazy to do anything. And I feel like the co-currence opinion is the most common opinion of the three, regardless of the fact that the majority opinion is also an opinion. And the dissenting opinion is the other opinions that were not a part of the majority opinion. The opinions of the people that disagree to the decision. Modern presidency is a term used by historians and political scientists to describe the presidential office since the 1930s. Money bills. Money bills are also known as a supply bill, and that's a bill that solely concerns taxation or government spending. Merit system. A merit system is a power promoting and hiring government employees based on their ability to perform a job rather than their political connections. Tell me, name the justices of the Supreme Court. The justices of the Supreme Court There's Chief Justice John Roberts, and then there are the Associate Justices Celia Kennedy, Thomas Ginsburg, Kagan, Alito, Breyer. Original jurisdiction. Jurisdiction is the right to hear a case first, the authority that disputes the case, because that's original jurisdiction. Remember when we were talking about originality, first come, first served? This is the originality for the jurisdiction. So, presidential succession, a question that Dr. Frederick should have put on the test. And I'm ticked off that she didn't put this on the test. Test question. Which of the following is not a member of presidential succession? Vice President, Speaker of the House, Cabinet Officers, or Mike Turzai? The answer is Mike Turzai because Mike Turzai is epic. In 8th grade, we lived right by Bradford Woods when Mike Turzai was running in middle school, and he's still the man. I mean, Mike Turzai is the best because he came to our middle school, gave this really inspirational speech on what you want to do with your life. And then he came to 4th grade school that my mom worked at and told them about how people, I don't know, what Bush told us about the weapons of mass destruction of lives or whatever. I don't know what it is. It's just, I'm too ignorant to like really make a biased opinion here. But my mom got pissed off about Turzai lying to little kids. And that's another reason why Mike Turzai is epic. Not just the fact that he inspired me, but he lied to little kids. That's why he's awesome. Presidential success. High five for lying to elementary school kids and being honest with middle school kids. That's why you're the man, Turzai. Anyway, presidential succession. You got the vice president, the speaker of the house, the president pro tempore, and the cabinet officer. Excuse me for not being mentally focused and blushing a little bit. The man crush for Turzai corrupted me for a second. But now we're talking about patronage, patronage of citizens, and jobs, grants, favors, exchange for support. And that's how patronage works. Like if you get good grades here at Slippery Rock, you major in something, and you want to become a teacher at that said subject, and you have the material, your teachers are oozed by you, maybe they'll prostitute you. Maybe they'll say, here's an opportunity. We're not prostituting you. Either take our job and do what the hell we tell you to do, or you get the hell out of here. Me and my buddy of mine, we make a joke about how that's pimping and prostituting, but the school's using plausible deniability to give you job opportunity. It's job opportunity. Now we're taking job opportunity away from you because you're being an asshole. Job opportunity. That's right. Take it. Precedent. What is precedent? State decisis. Let the decision stand. Judges rely on case law or past decisions to share their precedently. President of Senate is the vice president. Foreign policy man. Presidential appointments. Obama, Biden. Presidential terms. We already went over this. Reapportionment is reallocating 385 House seats. My 5 looks like an S, which shows how sloppy my writing is. So, 385. Redistricting. Redistributing the votes within states after the census. Rule of 4. In the Supreme Court, 4 judges want to hear a case. The case is on. It's on like Donkey Kong. Speaker of the House. Most powerful person in Congress. John Boehner. House of the Representatives, lower house, representative based on population, meant to represent the people. The 2-year terms, power to originate money. House of Representatives, standing committee, committees on permanent legislative panels established by the United States House of Representatives. State decisis. State decisis is let the decision stand because you're too lazy to reconsider it, like the a-holes in 12 Angry Men who just wanted to go home. The guy that wanted to overrule the decision was a total a-hole. But people were too lazy to just to stone that person. So you know what? 12 Angry Men has nothing to do with state decisis. Stupid meme. Silly meme. Supreme Court opinion assignments. All federal judges are appointed for life. Life. You're in the game for life, man. Supreme Court opinion assignments. Because terms for House of Representatives and Senators. 2 years for House of Representatives, 6 for the Senate. So the majority party in the House. Republicans. I love giving the Republicans this much value because it makes me look like a high-value jerk-off. Because that's the way America perceives the Republicans, even though the Republicans are the ones with the majority of the votes right now. The Republicans are playing the White House game, even though because they got the majority in the House. Government jobs should be awarded based on the basis of merit. Trustee, delegate, and Politico. Trustees use own best judgment on how to vote. Delegates weigh Constitution. It's the one Politico combination of trustee and delegate depending on time and issue. And the writ of certiorari, the most common way to file an appeal to the Supreme Court. So if you want to go with the same old standard of filing appeals, use the writ of certiorari. My grammar for pronouncing this is terrible, but as long as I remember the terminology and rewrite all this stuff in my YouTube video, I'll be square. Alright, this is 26 minutes. Goodbye.